What's good, everybody? It's Corporate Will. Thanks for stopping by the channel. As promised, today's topic is one that is near and dear to my heart. It's been instrumental in my own journey of self-actualization and overall success, and that is the topic of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Now, before we get there, it is the top of 2024. In fact, my first video of 2024, so I must say Happy New Year to you and yours. I'm wishing you nothing but good health, a growing pot of wealth, and experiencing nothing but the best emotions that can be felt for the year. Now, at some point, I'll get into why this place looks like the last episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but I want to get right into the content, which is, again, Maslow's theory, or what is best known as Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Now, back in the 50s, there was a psychologist by the name of Abraham Maslow, and he came up with this theory, or what I like to call an ideology, where he poses that all human beings were all innately motivated to achieve a certain set of needs that went on to become the hierarchy of needs, as he called it. Now, if you ever Google or look up Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you may often see it depicted as a triangle or a pyramid. And at the base of this pyramid, you'll see what is known as the physiological needs, as Maslow calls them. And these speak to things such as our ability to breathe, our ability to have proper nutrition and clean water, shelter, and our ability to reproduce. Above that level, which he calls the physiological needs, are what he calls your security needs. Now, the security needs are twofold. They speak to one's need to obviously be safe, right, to feel safe and secure, but it also speaks to how well we are able to sustain those physiological needs. Or in other words, how are we able to not just provide food for ourselves on one occasion, but continuously? How adequate is our sheltering and our domicile of living, right? On a macro scale, when you think about reproduction, without the ability to reproduce, we as human beings would be extinct. So it also speaks to being able to satisfy adequately that need to reproduce. Now, the third level, right above those security needs, are what is called the love and belonging needs. So Maslow poses that all human beings, as by function of what we are as Homo sapiens, makes us pack individuals, right? Meaning we are inherently required to have some sense of community, right? Just to exist. As human beings, think about it, we're born into a family in most cases. We generally want to be around a community, and whether we admit it to some extent or not, we all want to be loved and to feel like we belong to something. And so that third level really speaks to that need to have community, to feel loved, to feel belong, and to also exude those things. Now, the fourth level on Maslow's hierarchy of needs are what he calls your esteem needs. So long before social media and Instagram, Facebook, and all that came into existence, Maslow posed that as human beings, part of what makes us feel fulfilled is respect that others have for us and the respect that we have for ourselves. And this is bucketed into, again, that category that Maslow simply calls your esteem needs. Now, at the top of this pyramid, the pinnacle of the pyramid, are where things get interesting, and it's a need base called self-actualization, or in other words, our ability to achieve our fullest potential. Maslow posed in this hierarchy of needs that at the pinnacle of our, call it self-fulfillment and success, if you will, every human being needs to be able to not only recognize their potential and their desires, their heart's desires, but to also achieve and accomplish them. Now, to understand why this theory was so important to me, I have to take a step back and tell you all about a story of when I actually came to learn of this theory. I was 19 years old. At the time, I was a student athlete, and I was coming to terms with the reality that I wasn't going to be a student athlete or an athlete for long. Up until that point in life, the only goal that I really had in life was obviously to make it to college, but that pursuit was only for the purpose of playing college football and one day going to the NFL. Now, as a second year D2 bench warmer, I started to realize at the top of that semester that, man, the NFL probably wasn't in the cards for me. And I really get into a state where I felt lost. In retrospect, that was the first time in my life where I really just felt, the cards are stacked against me. I did not know what to do in life. And I was, again, in other words, just lost. I was sitting in psychology class, though, this particular semester, and my psychology professor started to talk about this theory, right? This theory that he called Maslow's theory. And as we got deeper and deeper into what this hierarchy of needs consisted of, what this theory consisted of, it's almost as if a light bulb had clicked in my head, right? It was like this aha moment where for some reason and somehow life started to make sense again for me. It started to make sense what I could do to feel successful, to be fulfilled in life. And what came out of this was really me understanding from this hierarchy of needs that this could become the framework by which I was able to construct my life. And so from that point on, as the years went by, or as the months went by in that particular semester, and as the years went by throughout my college career, I actually started aligning my goals to that hierarchy of needs, right? I started to say what goals are able to help me fulfill my physiological needs, right? Those security needs, those love and belonging needs. And every time I was able to notch off or complete one of those goals aligned with that hierarchy of needs, I began to feel that sense of fulfillment. I began to feel this sense of self-actualization, that I was getting closer to what I desired to do, and I was getting closer to achieving that desire. More importantly, what that hierarchy of needs allowed in me was this clarity of what success could be defined as. Up until that point, success was no more than how much money I was going to make and, how soon I was able to buy my mother her dream car. It really became at this point in my life where I learned about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, a emphasis for me to align success with my ability to reach self-actualization. And that was a game changer for me. Now, in the next episode, I want to talk to you all a bit more about how I took Maslow's hierarchy of needs and in time created my own hierarchy of needs, and how that hierarchy of needs has allowed me to almost formulaically come up and create the space where I could always reach self-actualization and otherwise reach my own levels of success. Now, I know there are a plethora of videos out there about, keys to success and how to be successful. I'm not telling you that I know all of those necessary steps for you individually, but what I'm hoping to do in this next video is share with you how creating and using this framework, outlined by Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you yourself can start to get on a path of self-actualization, and you yourself can determine how that theory or how that notion of self-actualization breeds success for you yourself. Now, as promised, we'll get out of there. We'll get out of that topic. I want to talk to you a little bit about what's going on in my life right now. If you recall from the prior video, I was sitting in this exact same spot and this place was full of furniture, right? I think I told you all that I was actually in this house trying to clean it up and get it ready to actually show to potential tenants so that I can get it listed. And a week later, I am happy, I'm blessed, I'm privileged to say I got that tenant secured. So this place is empty because I actually just moved everything out of it into my new place, and I'm just getting it all freshened up for new tenants to come in. So super, super excited about that. In line with what I said this channel is all about, right? And what Corporate Will is here to bring for you all. If it's of interest to you, please feel free to share and leave a comment, right? I can share with you, just my particular journey in real estate. I think I mentioned briefly, right? I'm a corporate professional by day. On the side, I have a few ventures, one of them being real estate. So I'm doing this sort of property manager, landlord thing temporarily. I'd be happy to share that journey with you all if it interests you. Again, this isn't scripted, right? This isn't anything that I'm a professional at, right? I never said I was an influencer or a videographer, whatever this is, right? I just felt it necessary to share my life story and share my experiences in hopes of helping others. But as I derail from my guided path of what I would like to talk about, I'd be more than happy to share, just what else I have going on. As I mentioned in the first video, a part of the genesis of me starting this channel really came out of this conversation, if you will, from friends and others about just the need to share and give people exposure to things they otherwise wouldn't have exposure to or be able to actually access. And I think one of the faults in our stars of being ambitious people, right, self-proclaimed, is sometimes we're just in the grind. Right, just like I told you about with the story of how I came to learn about Maslow's hierarchy of needs and why it's important to me. What I also realized, and it's a recent, epiphany, if you will, that I've come to realize, when you're in the grind of doing stuff, right, life doesn't give you a manual per se. Now, we're much better in this world because we have YouTube, we have social media platforms where we can get exposed to a lot of things. But for me, in much of my life, I never really looked to those avenues, even when they came about. But beforehand, when they didn't exist, I never really felt like I had avenues that would give me a blueprint of, how to do this thing called life. So when I did things like graduate college, or I bought my first house or my first car, or got my first big boy job, right? It's not like I read how to do that in a book, right? I just sort of figured it out, sometimes the ugly way, sometimes the clean way. And what happens is, because I'm just in the act of doing, I never really stop and think about how can I do this in a way that's constructive enough to share with others. Now, if I look back, right, in retrospect, I have a billion and one lessons learned about just about everything I've done. But for the purposes of this channel, right, I want to also make sure that I'm bridging this gap between, what I'm talking about and the reality of how you can actually achieve it. And I'll try to do that by just, again, giving you these real life examples, sharing with you the stories that I've been a part of, that I exude, right, in terms of how I'm accomplishing particular goals and doing particular things in life. But again, if there's anything in particular that I could help you with, or a loved one with, feel free to drop a comment. If it's pertinent to me, if it's something I've done, I'd love to share it. If I haven't, maybe I'll have an interviewee on this channel, and we can talk about it, right? If I haven't done it, I am blessed to say that pretty much probably know somebody who has done it, and that's just the company that I keep in particular. But yeah, I just want to be very transparent with you guys about just all walks of life, right? All ways in which you can do this thing called life. And by no means am I the one-stop shop for everything, but as an individual, just trying to be my best self and always reach these levels of self-actualization, I do want to make sure that I'm sharing that with others. And so, all that being said, if you care to know about anything related to real estate and my journey in particular, would be happy to share it. Would be happy to share it. So no snazzy punchlines to get out of here. But again, wishing you the best for this 2024 year. Peace.